Man, was not very cooperative. Another technical difficulty. Something is wrong with the YouTube Live app. And so I need to adjust and maintain. So hold on one second while I'm dealing with some technical difficulties. Got to put it in a different tripod now because, man, technology. Let's see here. Okay, guys. So here we are at the, okay, Garden Like a Viking live Q&A. And yes, it is still me. Don't worry, guys. It's the same person. I know it looks a little bit different, but such is we need the change sometimes. Yes, I know. Looks so much younger without the beard. Yes, clean shave. Yeah, I know. It looks like Nate's clean-shaven son. I know. But, you know, sometimes we just got to do the change. We got to start fresh. It's been many years since I've had a clean shave like this. So, yes, this is what it looks like. Feast your eyes because it's going away real soon. It's a one and done. Definitely got to grow the beard back out. Just a little bit, though, you know. But it's okay. You got to adjust and adapt and flow with the changes, the circumstances and the seasons and all of that. So, yes. Okay, guys. So, Angela says, love the clean look. All right. Thank you, my friend. Yes, when I look at myself, I feel like I am in high school. I mean, that's what it feels like compared to what I normally feel like. You know, like old man winter, old man father time. So, okay, let's see here. Mark Smith, a dreary rainy day here in Louisiana. Cut my first squash yesterday. What? Squash already? What kind of squash? Well, yeah, you're in Louisiana, so I guess you can almost grow them year round. And yeah, I've been seeing the weather in Chattanooga because I've been, you know, we did the garden installation there and stuff. And when I plant seeds, guys, there is a part of my heart that I leave, you know, with right there with the seeds. When I plant the seeds, I'm planting like a part of myself, a part of my soul, it feels like. And so I've been checking on the weather and everything and seeing how it's doing because I know that them seeds, them young seeds are going to want some moisture and some heat. And just now, the weather in Chattanooga looks like it is ideal for sprouting and for growing stuff. So yes, because look, guys, this is pretty much, you see that right there? You pretty much cannot ask for better growing weather than that right there. A chance of rain every day, sort of overcast and sort of in the 80s, lows in the 60s. That is really good growing weather. So if you guys are trying to start stuff from seed or transplant stuff, get it happening right now in the Chattanooga area. Anywhere in that whole, I think, southern vicinity right now is really having some good weather as far as growing. So if you're trying to be on the boat and stuff like that, then it's not so much good. But we're only concerned about growing here. So let's see here. Charles Norman, what's up, my friend? He says, what's up, Nate? 8A, Northern Washington. All right. So Tushi G says, question, what is outside in your garden right now? Not a lot, actually, because it is, we've had a really cool, up until this point, it's been actually, it got warm for a while, but then now it's really cool. Or, I mean, it got cool then for the past 2-3 weeks has been quite cool and overcast and stuff. So the soil is still really cold. So even though the last frost, now it's warming up. Pretty much our official last frost day is the 15th of this month, but it's pretty much gone. I mean, the frost there, yeah, I'm looking at the forecast and it's going to be in the 70s, you know, at lows in the 50s and stuff. So the last frost has passed. But here's the thing, guys, and here's where a lot of people they fall into this trap, is that just because the last frost has passed and the air temperature has warmed up, that doesn't mean that the soil temperature is warm. And the soil temperature matters more than the air temperature for the most part, within reason. So don't expect the things like tomatoes and peppers and squash and cucumbers and corn and stuff like that. Just because the last frost is over and the air temperatures are warm, it's going to take a few weeks of sun for the soil to warm up, especially if you're like me and you have all of your soil covered, which you should. All of the soil should always be covered with either a living plant or some type of nourishing mulch. Or, you know, depending on the scale, it can be plastic mulches, it can be landscaping fabric, it can be all kinds of things. But the natural mulches like the leaves and stuff like that, and the horse manure and the grass clippings, those will help to insulate the soil, and it will keep it cooler longer in the springtime. That's the one sort of drawback, if you want to call it a drawback, but it also keeps it cooler in the summertime in the blazing heat. But if you are trying to warm up the soil a bit faster for things, then the black plastic works really good, because that will capture the heat and help to warm things up early in the season. So you'll have much faster growth earlier in the season if you're using a black mulch of some kind like that, okay? So that being said, for me right now, I've got brassicas, I've got collards and Swiss chard and cabbages and Chinese cabbage. I love the Chinese cabbage. And then the green onions, of course, are coming up all over the place. Got the garlic is growing really well, and chives have all come up. My cover crops are about 3 feet tall, and they're taking their sweet time to form the seed heads, that's for sure. But it's because of how not hot it's been. Okay, so let's see. SpongeBob Ripped says, where did you first hear about this JayDom stuff, and do you still have faith in its effectiveness? First heard about it when I was living in the mountains in Northern California, growing on a commercial scale, what we could call high stakes gardening, where everything, that's like the epicenter of that type of really cutting edge growing for the whole world, really. That's like where it was at the time, at least, 2010 through 2018. And all of these new techniques were coming about, and people were experimenting in so many different ways, and that's why I learned so much. I found K&F there, I found JayDom, I found all kinds of other things that are not in any particular school of thought and things. But do I still have faith in its effectiveness? Absolutely, I do. It is still the natural way. The simple. That's why I began this channel with the JayDom system, because it is the simplest and easiest to follow, and it is no less effective than any of the other things. Like we haven't even got into brewing actively aerated compost teas and stuff on this channel, but that's originally how I learned many years ago. So we're going to be doing that kind of stuff in K&F. We'll do more of that into the future, but the simplest way is JayDom, and there's no need. It works. It really does. So there's no need to go beyond that, really. But so many, if you're like me, you just can't help but go beyond and push it to the max. Okay. What's up, Iowa Viking? John Becker says, Somo here. All of my garden is planted. All right. Let's see here. Who's the new guy? Yeah, I know. Who's this guy wearing Nate's clothing? Miss Val Mark says, yes, we are having the great weather also. Was out planting this morning. We have more melon seeds coming to replace what was lost. Oh, lost from what? Oh, yes. I think you got the hail damage. Is that right? What's up, Jerry? Let's see. I don't like squatting. That's the guy's name. Says, question, Nate, do you lift? I do occasionally, yeah. Back when I was younger, I used to bodybuild. I used to be like into bodybuilding back before I left for traveling and stuff. And so I used to be really into like nutrition, that kind of nutrition and stuff. But that's evolved over the years. And so I'm a lot more about calisthenics now, and all around just feeling good. Yes. Val says, hey, Nate, how many sweet potato slips can we plant per trash bag? I don't like that word, trash bag. Let us use contractor bag instead. So how many slips can we plant per contractor bag? That will depend upon how much soil you fill it with. So if you fill it with, we'll say 20 gallons of soil, 3 slips is adequate. If you can plant 4, you could plant 5 if you put 30 gallons of soil or compost into the bag. But here's the thing. The more intensely that you plant the slips, the more water and nutrients they're going to require. So if you just want to kind of plant it and leave it, put like 2 slips. If you have a lot of bags and a lot of compost and stuff, then you can just put 2 slips in each bag, and then you can pretty much just leave it. If you use good compost, you don't even have to fertilize it over the seeding. So, but if you are going to be watering it all the time and you're going to be able to feed it with some fertilizers, then go ahead. If you fill it with about 20 gallons, I would say 3 to 4 slips. 4 slips will be good, So, but any more than that, if you pack 5 or 6 of them in there, you're going to get a bunch of real tiny, thin, stringy sweet potatoes. Okay. Mark says, yellow crookneck. I planted in early March. I have baseball-sized tomatoes and 4-inch cucumbers. Can't wait. Made extra bone meal this morning while it is raining. Nice. How do you make your bone meal? I mean, I know how to make it, but how do you make yours? How do you get it pulverized. Because I know the method that we used in Northern California, but we don't have a bulldozer with the big tracks here. So we're not going to be able to use that method. So let's see. Dale says, Zone 8, Trinity County. Oh, nice. If my tiny started a small head, should I snip it off to grow the plant bigger? We had a little heat wave for 4 days, then got cold. Your tiny what, my friend? You have to be a little more specific. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. Cecily says, just eating potatoes planted on Boxing Day. You must be from the UK. JayDom works well for me. We have rain at the moment. Of course. Frank says, question, is it okay to mix the different formulas you make in water as a one-shot application? Yes, it is. So we can mix the different formulas. We just have to be mindful of the overall ratios of things. So let us say that we have 1 gallon of water. And so we can add to that about 2 cups in total of the nutrient solutions. So that could be 2 cups of the grass JLFs, or that could be 1 cup of a grass, 1 cup of an ash, or that could be 1 cup grass, half cup ash, and a 1/4 cup fish, and a 1/4 cup of something else. You can do it like that. It's not a problem. Because you don't really burn the plants with any of this. I mean, none of this stuff is going to be, you're going to have to worry about concentrations really. You don't want to mix it much stronger than that. 1, because there's no need to. 2, because you don't benefit from anything. And 3, it can make it more, it can throw off the balance. If you're pouring straight JLF onto stuff, it can really throw off the balance and can turn it a little bit rancid, I have found over the years. So it's best to stick with the dilution rates. So let's see here. And yes, I know this thing keeps moving a whole bunch. Greetings from West Lafayette. Oh, fellow Hoosier. Found the channel for JayDom. Hooked for the philosophy. Wonderful, my friend. That is really nice to hear. And yes, that kind of brings me into, well, maybe we'll talk about that later. Never mind. Okay. J.E. Hammond says, what is the difference between garden soil and compost topsoil in bags? Okay. Well, basically compost is anything that is multiple ingredients, is 2 or more ingredients digested together by a natural process. And then it creates something that is very rich in nutrients, but it's not soil. So the garden soil then is typically what they will call like composted tree bark and forest humus, things like that. But also they can call garden soil, they can call it, it can be just perlite and peat moss, and they can call it like potting mix or garden soil and stuff like that when it's mostly just peat moss. And so there's actually no soil in that. So the topsoil, soil is sand, silt, and clay with microorganisms. But really the composition of it is sand, silt, and clay. So compost is not soil. Garden soil in the bags, like from the box store, like the Pro Mix and all that kind of stuff, that's not soil either. That is soilless growing medium. So there's a very clear distinction. But topsoil is going to be actual soil, sand, silt, and clay that they take off of the top of the earth in places. So let's see here. Ms. T, hello, my friend. Says, absolutely thankful to you. I did the 5 nutrient treatments to my soil. Got a ton of earthworms in my garden now. Not only that, I see the big differences in the soil. Yes, my friend, that is what it's all about. It doesn't take long. And I've been making some videos and stuff or some little clips to put onto the Instagram, stories and stuff like that, and the reels. And man, when I go out there into the garden, because I'm getting ready to plant the potatoes, which we'll talk about in a moment. I'm getting ready to plant the potatoes, so I'm moving aside some of the mulch and stuff. And man, it's like a worm farm. People ask me, do you farm worms and stuff, or do you have a worm bin? But there's no need for it. You make your whole garden into such a place that it attracts the worms. Because I go out there and it looks like I'm composting worms. There's just dozens of them falling off of chunks of horse manure and some of the crop residues. If you watch my videos, we made the crop residue stuff for last fall. Okay, Gabe says, it's been raining all day here. I am in the UK, but I have been sowing just over 100 seeds. I got a 5 by 10 foot garden bed, so I should be more than set. Yes, you should. 5 by 10 and 100 seeds. Wonder what kind of plant you're planting, because that will make a big difference. Gloria says, I still have a couple large black trash of fig leaves and others. They have compacted, but also look like they have something growing on them. Is it mold? Throw it all away? No, you do not have to throw it. If you're trying to make leaf mold in the trash bag method, then you're going to see it's probably white strands that look like fiber of some kind, like threads. That is the mycelium. That is the fungi, and that's what you want. So don't throw it away. Whatever happens in there, just let it happen. And that is going to turn into some really good stuff. Okay. Lisa T says, hi Nate, will we still get the needed heat reaction if we make a small batch of JayDom sulfur? Maybe making just 1 gallon of sulfur concentrate. Many thanks. I think so, yes. So there is, if you have to buy the JayDom book, but there is measurements, and I think it goes down to 1 gallon. Yes, so you will have to, because it's a chemical type of heat, so it doesn't really, I don't think it really matters with the thermal mass, the actual size. So for those dilution rates, though, you'll want to get the book and study it a little bit more closely, okay? Shawnee says, do pelleted carrot seeds have a lower germination rate compared to regular? I have never used pelleted carrot seeds. It makes sense though, because carrot seeds are really tiny and I'm not really good at thinning. I don't like to thin that much, although you have to with carrots unless you just want a bunch of tiny little miniature carrots. Whoa, that's hot. Yeah, guys, today the tea is just the mint from outside with a couple slices of the ginger. That's all. Let's see. James Triplet says, question, what method do you terminate spring cover of ryegrass? Okay, so the method won't matter that much so long as you wait till the right time. If you do it at the incorrect time, it will just keep trying to grow back and it won't terminate for months. So you have to let it go to the seed head. So I'm just making a thing on my Instagram about that, where I'm showing you guys, okay, it's just now starting to poke it, to form the seed heads, but it hasn't got to the milk stage yet. The milk stage is when you squeeze it with your thumb, you need to see like some white milk looking stuff coming out of it. That's when it's ready to go. And if you terminate it at that point, using whatever method, you can use the string trimmer, you can use the lawnmower, you could use the blowtorch if you want, whatever it is, to terminate it. If you terminate it at that point, then it will not grow back because the plant says, okay, my life's purpose has been fulfilled. I have produced seed, so we're done. But if you cut it before that, it's going to say, no, I still got a purpose. I got to grow back and we got to do seeds. So that being said, for a lot of you guys are talking about you don't have enough green material for the composting. So if you grow the crimson clover or if you grow the winter rye or the winter wheat, the cover crop is definitely going to be a good biomass, source of biomass, because there's a lot of stuff. So we're going to cut that with the string trimmer. That's how I'm going to do it. Cut it right at the ground with the string trimmer and then compost it. Yeah, it works really good because that stuff will compost fast too. Let's see here. And where are we at? I think we just got a Kip Tap, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, just popped in. Where is Nate? Yeah, he's upstairs just hanging out. I got an earpiece in right now, so he's feeding me all the answers. So, yeah, go ahead and ask away. There'll be a little delay, though. Yes. Let's see. Julianne says, how do you make a liquid calcium? Well, we have a video for that, so you can do it with the eggshells and the vinegar. 1 part eggshells to 10 parts of vinegar, and that is going to create calcium acetate. I explain it all in the video, so check it out, my friend. Let's see here. Han says, you can substitute biochar for clay. I know some guys from Florida who do that. Biochar for clay. Clay where? Let's see. Bamboo Lou says, hello from Orlando. We have sand. Yes, you need to heavily amend, and also biochar would be really good for you as well. Tree Rogi says, why are potatoes used for food source in JayDom mix? Because they are, one, very readily available, easy to grow, and for two, they are a wonderful source of starch for the bacteria, for the microbes and the yeast and all the good stuff. We'll eat that, very easy to digest, and they cost very, very little. So if the food source was you know, some kind of dragon fruit or something like that, and everyone was trying to go to the store and buy $47 worth of dragon fruit, then it would not make sense. So potatoes are the cheapest and also effective. They're as effective as like sweet potatoes. I've also used bananas. You can use other things, but the potatoes is really where it's at, and they're so easy to grow. And that being said, SpongeBob says, do you think freshwater fish are better than saltwater fish for fish hydrolysate? Yes, I do. Because the trace minerals that will be contained within them, there tends to be traces of sea salt and stuff like that in the fish from the ocean. And so, yes, that would be better. But that being said, the other freshwater fish is very, very effective as well. So it's not really going to be a problem. Now, we are getting ready to plant out potatoes. It won't be too long. And so hopefully you have them chitting already. And we're about 2 weeks before the last frost date. So yeah, well, now we're about a week before the last frost, even though the frost I know is gone now. So you can plant them out anytime. And if you chit them, you want them really to look like this. You want them to look more, these are stout chits. You know, the real long kind that come from keeping them stored in the basement all winter. The ones from last year, those also work okay. You can plant them even when they're super long. You can plant them. Don't break them off. Just put them into the ground with the shoots facing up, and you will have some success. But ideally, you want them to look like this, or like this even. And these have been in a sunny window without direct sun. But what I want to show you with this is that people ask me all the time about, do you want to cut or do I want to cut the potato? And here's the answer. If you have a potato like this, all right, you do not need to cut it. So what we're gonna do is probably take off. Okay, so we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 active sprouts. And then these 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sprouts on this thing that would sprout, but there's like 5 active ones. So when I go to plant this little thing, I'm gonna peel off like this one, this one, this one, so that I got the strongest 2 sprouts from this thing, and really rub the rest of the potato so that it will focus all of its energy on these 2 sprouts, turning those into plants. And you will get bigger, healthier potatoes by having less of these sprouts. So if you have too many sprouts in the potatoes, you see here, now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We've got 16 sprouts, 17 on this one potato, okay? This is a russet that came from the Amish, and so they tend to grow really good stuff, and only good strains that have been passed down for a long time. So I got a batch from them, and I'm gonna grow these, but I would not plant this potato whole. If you do, you will get a bunch of vines, and you'll get a bunch of really tiny potatoes. And so what I'm gonna do then is this one, yes, I will cut. So I'll probably cut it right about here, so that we're gonna have 1, 2, 3 sprouts. So I'm gonna cut this into 3 pieces. I'm gonna cut it like right here, and then I'm gonna cut it crossways this way, so that we have about 2 to 3 eyes per cut. And after I cut it, I'm gonna let it sit out in the same spot it's been chitting for about 3 to 4 days, until you can see the stuff is sort of heals over and it forms like a little bit of a skin. That's when it's ready to go. We will put it into the ground at that time. Okay? So I know a lot of you have asked about that. Jesse K, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate the support. And PA says, I'm already hilling most of my potatoes. Wow, yes. So you are in Portugal, is that correct? So very different climate. Does it even frost there where you're at? Chris P says, just introduced my mom to farmer's cheese. How long is lactic acid bacteria serum good for when kept in the fridge? No brown sugar added. Yes, it is about, see, I get this question all the time. And so I'm going to probably this year at some point, I'm going to make a video on how to store the lactic acid, the labs long term, and also answer some of the questions. I'm also going to make one about the fish fertilizer and answer give some tips and tricks about that. Because I just opened up, if you guys watch my video, I'll answer that question, don't worry. If you watch my video about the fish fertilizer, I made that batch then, and I put the lid on, and I haven't touched it until just the other day. Yesterday, I made a video about it. And I opened it up, the whole thing is liquefied. It's all just turned into totally liquefied fish fertilizer. So that's really the way to do it, is to make it now for next season. And you only have, it's only the first season you start doing this stuff where you even would be without the good aged finished stuff. And so you use last year's stuff. And I like to do it in separate batches. You can also just keep adding it to it. So I drained about 2.5 gallons out of that one. And then now I'm gonna add another couple of fish and some more leaf mold and fill it the rest of the way with water, put the lid back on and leave it until at least another 2 months before I would even take some. But since I just harvested 2.5 gallons, that's gonna be mostly enough for the season. Yeah, because we're only using it 1 ounce at a time in a lot of places. So how long is it good in the fridge? That's going to be about 1 month. It's going to stay nice and strong in the fridge about 1 month, the labs. And after that, it will begin to lose its voraciousness. So I know this because over the years, I've experimented in so many different ways and observed. And after about a month, it begins to lose its power to start another batch of labs. Yes, you can do that. If you have fresh labs, within about 2 weeks, preferably, you can start the next batch of labs from the previous batch of labs. You can do that a few times, but then every 3 or 4 times you want to capture the new set of microorganisms with the rice wash water. But I've noticed that after about 3 weeks to a month, it loses its effectiveness to start the next batch. And after about like 6 weeks or 2 months, if you try to start another batch with it, the batch will be super weak and it will just not separate properly. And it's just, I just observe all these things over the time, so I know that's not, so 4 weeks I'm gonna say is gonna be maximum. Peter Hoffman, $10, thank you very much for the tip, my friend, I appreciate you. Says, hi Nate, my niece, Rainbow, and I, that's a lovely name, just stayed in your area, Fremont, Indiana. Oh, James Dean, huh? We looked for you but couldn't find you due to your new disguise. Thanks so much. Yes, this is how I hide from people. No. Yeah, it just feels so cold on the face, you know? It's like you feel like you're not wearing any pants. I mean, it feels like, then I look, whoa, no, I feel naked. It's really strange. It's been many years since I've experienced this. But you have to remember what you look like sometimes. I mean, the actual face. So, yes, thank you, Peter. And Bobby says, man, with that shave, you look exactly like that dude on Travel Like a Viking. Aging well, my friend. Yes, he's talking about my traveling channel where I show you guys all kinds of pictures and stuff like that about my 10 years I spent on the road where I learned all of this stuff, and I learned so many things. I learned everything that makes just, yeah. If you're contemplating travel, my friends, if you're like, should I do it or should I not? And you're young, or even if you're old, do it. Absolutely do it. Their world travel educates you, or any kind of travel, educates you in a way that you cannot grasp until you're there in it. And even then you don't understand it until after the fact. And you reflect on how your life has changed and the people that you met. You don't realize it at the time, you do a little bit, but after, then when it sinks into your heart, you're like, wow, I am still carrying a piece of those people in my heart and a piece of those places and the lessons, everything that people, all the kindness and generosity I experienced all throughout the world was just magnificent, you know? And so all of that kind of stuff, it never leaves you. It stays within your subconscious mind and it influences everything that you do because the subconscious draws from your base of experience in life. And so, get as much diversity of life experience as you can. I heard that in my ear from a young age. And so, because then you have the biggest knowledge base to draw from. And so experience as much as you possibly can. That's my rant about that. Yes, thank you, my friend. It's, he says aging well, which I was not doing for a good amount of time because, but now that years of clean living, man, there's nothing like it. So Nate says, what is chitting? Chitting is a fancy word for just putting them into a place that gets indirect sunlight and is warm for about 2 weeks so that they can start to do this. I don't know why they don't just call it sprouting, I guess, but yeah. And the only thing, it's actually not even necessary. You can just take a bag of potatoes right from the store and put them into the ground if they're organic. And even the non-organic can work, but it's hit or miss. But what chitting does is that it speeds the entire process by a number of weeks. So if you want to get new potatoes and stuff like that, or if you've got a really short season or you're planting them late in the season, you want to chit them, and that's going to speed their production by several weeks. You'll be harvesting several weeks earlier than you normally would. So Angela Leeds, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate the tip and the support. Julie Ann says, thank you. I knew you would know. Awesome channel. Thank you, my friend. Yes. Busy Girl says, who is that naked face? Is that you, Nate? Looking good. Yeah. Thank you, my friend. It's me. It is, truly. Ask me a question. There's something only I will know. So, Tirza, is it true dusting cut potatoes with wood ash keeps them from molding? Now, I have heard this. I have not experienced this. Yes, I have heard that can help them from, it's mostly about rotting. So if you cut the potato, and I have experienced this for sure, if you cut the potato and you don't have enough days, like the 3 or 4 days to let it heal, and you just put it right in the ground, you do have a much higher than normal risk that the potato will just rot and it won't actually sprout. So that's another reason we like to plant whole potatoes if at all possible. It's just better. It produces bigger, stronger, healthier vines. But if you have to cut it, like this one I showed you earlier, try to let it skin over. I've never had to dust it in wood ash, but I think I will try this year, actually. Thank you for that. I'm going to write that. Well, no, I'm going to make a mental note. Yes, I am going to try it. I'm going to cut them and dust them with wood ash. Also, I'm going to try dusting it with a little bit of sulfur because I've heard that really helps the entire lifetime of the potato to be free of disease. And so I need to have direct experience with that, of course, before I can put my stamp on it and say that yes, this works, or no, that it doesn't. So I'm going to experiment. I'm going to experiment this year with wood ash and also with sulfur. So we will know by the end of this year, relatively, what the case on that is. Just like last year when we did the experiment with the wood ash, because if you look online and a lot of people, and so many people just, and I know they've got good intentions, but so many people just parrot information that they've heard and they haven't put it through the catalyst. What am I going to say? You already know it. They haven't taken the information and put it through the catalyst of experience in order to make it knowledge. So they're just regurgitating information that they've heard. And so they say, well, be careful. You never want to add wood ashes to potatoes. Potatoes don't like wood ashes because blah, 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 all these different reasons that they've heard. But I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I think potatoes will love it, actually, because they will love the pot ash from it and all the other nutrients. And so last year I did some experiments where I planted potatoes, and in the bags I added almost absurd amounts of wood ash to it. I mean, way more than you would recommend to typically use. And guess what the results were? They turned out perfectly fine. They turned out even harder and better than the other ones. So in my opinion, because it makes sense theoretically to me, and so then I did it and experienced that it also works. And so with those two combined, I'm going to put my stamp on it. I'm going to say that wood ashes are perfectly fine, even beneficial for the potatoes. So that, and you pretty much don't find any other YouTubers saying that. I mean, oh well. So, okay, let's see here. SpongeBob says, I'm starting an indoor hydroponic system with artificial lighting and synthetic water-soluble fertilizer. I wonder what's your honest opinion on this type of stuff? Okay, well, my honest opinion on it is that it works, of course. I've done hydroponics back in the day in California, and it works as far as you will produce plant material. But it will never be and cannot ever be anywhere even approaching as nutrient dense or as bursting with life force as something grown in the soil, because the soil is the way that nature, the ultimate OG sustainable agriculturist, is the way that nature designed all of this to function. So the soil food web is what creates the nutrient density of the food. And so the hydroponics creates what I call empty food or vacant food. It creates the food, the seed, the plant is information. Think of it this way. A tomato plant is basically information. The seed is information. And so it tells the seed or the plant, constructs the factory that is going to create another one of the things that it came from. So you see, so it's basically a blueprint. And so it's going to do this no matter what. It's going to create another tomato as long as it can, no matter what. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be a nutrient-dense tomato that is bursting with life or any of those kind of things. So you can have a tomato that is absolutely big and beautiful and grown hydroponically, but it is totally devoid of flavor, of nutrients, and therefore flavor. And this is important. This is the foundation of the whole thing. The flavor of something is an indicator of its nutrient density, so long as it hasn't been adulterated in some way with chemicals or some kind of GMO, I don't know. But in the classic world, in the natural world, the flavor of something is an indicator of its nutrient density. And so if you have one of those hydroponically grown tomatoes next to one of the tomatoes grown here in this living soil that is like bursting to the seams with life, there's absolutely no comparison. This one will taste like crunchy water. It will taste like sort of bitter, crunchy water, and it will not have any of the nutrients, and it will just be like, oh man, I thought this was a tomato, but instead it's like something else. I don't know, it's a placeholder for a tomato. Whereas if you try the same strain of tomato grown in my nutrient-rich soil, it will make your knees buckle. It will be so delicious. You'll just, whoa, hold on. And you will, it's that big of a difference. And so that's because it's packed full of way more minerals. And so all the lettuces and all that kind of stuff, yeah, you can grow it. And people commercially like to grow it because, okay, boom, head of lettuce, $10. Boom, head of lettuce, $10. It's much faster than soil methods. But it's nowhere near as nourishing to the body and to the mind and soul. So that's my honest opinion on it. Go ahead and do it, but you have to understand why you're doing it. I mean, why are you doing it? Why not just grow in the soil? You will not grow anything better, of a better quality. It will never be more nutrient dense. It will never be more full of flavor, but it will be faster. That's for sure. It will be much faster, and it will be more in a tighter space. So there's pros and cons to everything. Let's see here. Joe Slack says, chitting is putting your potato to form growth points. Yes, that is correct, my friend. And James Triplet, question. When people do that, I always think of Dwight. Don't you guys? Question. After potatoes are growing and see more than 2 to 3 sprouts coming through the soil, can the extra be snapped off below the soil? Well, there's really no way to tell. There's no way to tell exactly because, no. I mean, you want to, well, okay, so if you've already planted them and you're like, oh no, what can I do? Then you can, but if you've already planted them, just leave them. Just leave them because there's no way to tell. These can branch off and become multiple different things. And so once it's above the soil, there's really no good way to tell. And the plant will just try to keep growing it back. So the only time you want to do this is break them off before you plant them, so that then the potato that functions as an organism, as one organism, will say, okay, let's focus all of our efforts on these sprouts, these vines. Because remember, the potato is a storehouse of solar energy. It captures the plant captures sunlight and then stores the energy from the sun in the tuber, so that when the plant dies and everything, the next season, it will use the solar energy that is stored in the plant, in the tuber, to create new sprouts and then to create more tubers. So that's how it does it. So I don't know why I got onto that. Angela Leeds says, Nate, had my first harvest today, but I'm on day 10 of the master cleanse and I'm not stopping yet. So gifted my gorgeous, huge French breakfast radishes to the family. Oh, nice. Yes, those are going to be awesome. You're on day 10, so congratulations on a very good accomplishment. I know how that feels because I just completed my last cleanse. And yes, so that kind of brings me to a comment. One of the comments last week of someone watching after the fact, they left a comment, they said, I had to stop watching this after 28 minutes because this is a gardening channel and I didn't sign up for watching because I don't want to know anything about cleansing. So I'm not going to give it a thumbs down, but I'm not going to give it a thumbs up. I just hope that next week is better. And so I understand, and I appreciate that the person was being respectful when they were expressing their opinion. So that is good. But at the same time, to me, gardening and growing is so much more than just okay, when to plant the cucumbers and how much of the fertilizer to give your tomatoes and how to make fish fertilizer. That's all really good, and that's all part of it, and that's all part of it. But for me, the whole motivation and the whole drive behind all of this, everything I'm doing and what drives me to do it, like, comes from the spirit of the earth itself. I mean, it's inseparable from the earth, from the growing, just the spirit of growing and the spirit of all of these kind of things. And so it's so much greater than that. And so cleansing is intimately linked. It's all part of the same thing. It's all part of the same understanding. When you understand and get inside, when you let the spirit of the earth get inside of you and come from within you, then you can see everything so much clearer and everything makes more sense. And so the cleansing is a part of that same philosophy, because the plant, you understand, okay, I am an expression of what I consume. Either good, healthy foods, a good, healthy body, good, healthy thoughts, good, healthy outlook and personality, and a good persona and aura, okay? But also you can see this in the natural world. And I learned this in Northern California of thousands of experiments in different seasons and all kinds of stuff, and always observing that the plant is also just like us. It is an expression of what it eats. So you are an expression of what you consume, both physical things and thought energy things. And if they are clean and good, you will be clean and good. If they are toxic and heavy, you will be toxic and heavy. Plants and the natural world is the same way. The plant is an expression of what it eats. So that is why I always say, you are what you eat, but you also are what you eats. Meaning, well, it's self-explanatory. And so that's all part of it. And so when you understand this philosophy, you see it everywhere. There's not a philosophy for gardening, a philosophy for living, a philosophy for how to treat people, a philosophy for work. It's all one. So that's my rant on that. And so that's why I have no problem talking about things like cleansing, because it's all part of it. People want to grow their own food. That's what brought me to growing things and to learning this passion, was thinking, man, I want to only put the highest vibrational stuff within me, because that's the only state of mind that I'm interested in cultivating anymore, is a high vibrational positive state of mind. And it all comes from what you consume, both physically and spiritually. And so once I really started to realize all of this stuff, that is when I was like, okay, I have to grow my own food. I mean, there's no other way. There's no other way. The only way is to grow your stuff. And so to take this gift from the earth, because the earth, that's what it does. It gives forth. It says, look, I can provide for you everything you need. You just have to treat me right. And so here you go, and learn my ways so that my ways will become your ways. And so then when you say, yes, okay, I will learn the ways of the earth, then then it all just becomes easy and clear. And when you hear something about gardening or growing or the philosophy of all that, when you just hear it one time, you retain it because you have the spirit in you. I hope that makes sense. Okay, Darren says, looking good, brother Nate. Greetings from San Diego, Zone 10B. On day 6 of the Master Cleanse, feeling strong. All right, Darren. Very good, my friend. Stay strong. You are past the hard part. And one of the best things that I realized about this Master Cleanse, this past 10-day one, is that I'm finally really have truly found a lifestyle that doesn't need cleansed anymore. Because I used to feel like super, euphoric and clear and crisp and energized on the cleanse. But now I just feel like that all the time. And so I felt no different going on the cleanse. It was like, well, okay. I live cleansed now, which is just fantastic. So let's see. SC says, kidding. I was in shock opening the live late. Almost thought I was on the wrong channel. Hello from friendly Manitoba. Yes, my friend. Yeah. Nate's upstairs pumping all the knowledge into me, so I got an earpiece in. Let's see. Shalma Ahad says, Nate, I chitted my potatoes inside a greenhouse, and they did chit very well, but noticed potatoes going dark color black. Is that normal, or shall I get rid of them? Well, you don't want to let them chit too long, because then they will kind of shrivel up. These are starting to shrivel up and get sort of soft, but we're planting these here pretty much any time. It's not going to be really a problem. I mean, I would have to see it. If it's like covered in some kind of moldy fungus, then yeah, but it should be fine. But go ahead and get them in the ground. Once they start chitting, these have been chitting about 10 days. And so I'm going to go ahead and plant them like this. I'm going to plant them here anytime. Let's see. Where do you get the sulfur to dust the potatoes with? And says Nate. But also Sharon says, where's the best place to get sulfur cheap? I put a link in the description. So I just get mine from Amazon. So if you go to the video I made about how to make the JayDom sulfur, you will see a link there, and you can get that. You can go there and get it, and that will be the cheapest place that I found for the good stuff. Ms. T says, you look well, healthy, and peaceful, my friend. Yes, absolutely. Feeling fantastic. That is for sure. Let's see. RJ Aquaponics says, we have chloramine in our water, and it does not evaporate from our water. Yes, I've been hearing about this more and more lately. And Paul says, well said, Nate. Thank you, my friend. Itamar Toribio says, I'm a new gardener and aquaponics never made sense to me. Can you grow food? Of course you can. Right, yeah. It's not so much. I mean, hydroponics is one thing. Aquaponics is, sort of another thing, which would make a little bit more sense. But yes, hydroponics and stuff like that, aeroponics, yeah, you can grow stuff, but it's nowhere near the same. PA says, I know lots of people who put wood ash in the ground before planting the potatoes for the nutrients and potash, including me. Yes, definitely. And but you know how it goes in the world of YouTube and the internet and all that kind of stuff. When if a couple people start saying it, then all of a sudden you start seeing it on blogs, and then people that are writing blogs or making videos even, I've seen this, they will just research something and like Google it, and then boom, just the first couple blogs or the first couple YouTube videos, okay, and then they'll parrot that, and so that's how it gets portrayed, conveyed. Let's see, Gabe says, I've been listening to Bruce Bugbee recently, and he said that hydroponics is good, but all the compounds found in organic soil when broken down turns into exactly the same nutrients. No, it is not like this. And a lot of people who are really science-based want to try and say this. Well, in the end, it's all the exact same nutrients. It's not. It's just not. And so you can do many experiments. Go ahead, like I have done, and experiment with yourself over the years. And grow some hydroponic stuff with just a bunch of chemicals, and then grow some stuff in real, true, living soil bursting with life. And there will be absolutely no comparison. And you will see. And so it doesn't, The mind of man always wants to try and say, oh, well, yes, when you reduce it all to its basic thing, it's the same chemicals, but they're not the same. They don't arrive there from the same place. They're not in the same form. It's like taking vitamin pills for us. See, that's the same type of thinking that people think that vitamins are the same as consuming whole food in its natural state. They're not. They're nothing the same. And those type of people will say, well, but to the body, it doesn't know the difference. A B vitamin from a supplement is the same, chemical as the B vitamin from, beef liver. Not the same. And the body doesn't process it the same because it is not this in its bioavailable form. And so that is why you have to get it from whole foods. No amount of vitamins you can take. See, here we are again. The body and the plants and the soil, it's all the same. And so no amount of vitamins that you take is ever going to give you abounding health in the same way that eating whole food in its natural state can do for you. And so it all has to do with bioavailability and the life force that is in all of this. So it is dramatically different. Let's see, Ronald says, does a swamp have anything nutritional to add to your garden? Definitely you can add swamp water to the garden. I would have to see, how stagnant it is or how, but yes, the swamps are full of nutrients. And that's how a lot of those plants and stuff like that, in the seasonal swamps, they depend on those nutrients in order to grow. So Alex says, it's a gardening lifestyle channel. Yes, that's a lot more what it is. A gardening, I don't even use the word gardening even so much. It's growing. It's a growing lifestyle because they called us growers in Northern California, and it really sticks, and so in my heart, I'm a grower, definitely. Let's see here. Cecily says, our bodies are full of microbes and they appreciate the microbe-produced food that natural farming provides. Healthy food does not consist of just NPK. Absolutely. See, you get it. You get it, definitely. And that's why those people that reduce everything to the whole, well, it's the same chemical compounds, they're missing out on a whole different magnificent element to this existence, to this whole thing. It's so much deeper than that. So Angela says, at Nate, I so agree. It was my inability to find beautiful organic produce in my area, which I need for life and health, which catalyzed my starting to grow in my backyard. Yes, so many of us got there in this way. Let's see. Matthew says, tell me you saved the beard hair. Awesomeness. Yes, because I thought my friend Matthew was going to want me to send him some. No, yeah, I did. It's all upstairs. When I was shaving, it was just like, it was like a traumatic, experience. But, you just got to get over it. So, but it's good to know that, because the beard can really make you feel a little bit old. When you look into the, it's like, okay, old Father Time is looking back at you, okay, very wise and Father Time, but you don't want to, you want to be like, man, I'm not like 75 yet, so I need to, I just want to see what I still look like. And yes, I still look, to me, I still look like I'm in high school. But Bamboo Lou says, look at the redwoods in Northern California and Oregon. They grow big with nothing. Only what is around them. Yes, exactly. Which is not nothing. They actually grow with thousands of years of decomposed plant material and thousands of miles of mycelial network that stems underneath all of these trees. I lived in a redwood grove, man, and it was just so magnificent. And I would just sit with these trees, and that was sparking my passion for the growing, and my understanding of the world and of the growing world is sitting with these 1,000-year-old trees, multiple 1,000-year-old trees, and just feeling the energy. The earth around them is alive. I mean, very alive. And so, yes, that is so. But yeah, nobody fertilizes those, and yet they're as big as skyscrapers, and nobody fertilizes any of those. Nobody ever has to fertilize nature because it does it. Let's see here. Who made a Clem Fandango says, LOL, which one of you nerds left that comment? Show yourself. Which comment is that? Now I want to know. So Let's see here. And well said, Nate, 100%. We are reservoirs of solar energy, just like the potato. Absolutely. That is why ancient cultures worshiped the sun. I mean, in whatever way we think it was worshiping, maybe it was, we don't really know. But they had a very high respect and reverence for the sun because without the sun, life as we understand it, there is none. And so it comes from the energy of the sun, which is mind-blowing. And I know I've said this before, but listen to this, guys. The sun. So most people think that the sun is on fire, that it's the same, and the warmth we feel is the same type of warmth that comes from, like, if you have a big burning log and you put it next to you, the warmth that you feel. A lot of people just assume that the sun is that same kind of heat, but it's not even remotely close. The sun isn't really on fire. The sun is a nuclear reactor, and it takes, and listen, it takes every 1 second, and this is according to mainstream science and all of that, so, you know, I don't know this because I haven't been to the sun, but I'm just saying what mainstream says, and it makes sense to me. Mainstream science says that every 1 second, the sun converts 600 million tons of helium into 594 million tons of hydrogen, or hydrogen into helium. So you see, every 1 second, 600 million tons of hydrogen into 594 million tons of helium. And in that process, every 1 second, 6 million tons of photons, of packets of energy are released from that reaction. And so, boom, it radiates out in all directions. Think of that. There's no one direction of the sun. It's in all directions equally outwards. It's just mind-blowing. And so those little packets of energy, those photons, that's what we absorb, and that's what the plants absorb, and that's what we eat, the sun, basically. What we are eating is the sun. We are made of the sun energy. I just love thinking about things like that because you can see upon further investigation how everything is connected, deeply connected, that there is no thing that exists independent of itself. Let's see here. Bamboo Lou says, you don't need Big Ag or Home Depot. That is correct, my friend. We can do like our ancestors have been doing, except we can use a little bit of modern techniques as well. I mean, some modern things like the plastic ground cover can be very beneficial for some people. And plastic barrels, plastic buckets. Yes, we can utilize that because that's the world that we live in. We don't have to make it so difficult on ourselves. And I've seen this a lot in the world. People trying to make it the really purist that not one piece of plastic or anything can be utilized. You know, so okay, well, then good luck expanding that. And good luck, I mean, that is going to, you're making it unnecessarily hard on yourself because we live in the world, we live in the plastic age. Not saying to consume more plastics by any means, but I'm saying that in certain situations, you can grow way more food in the natural ways, meaning with soil health, by using the plastic or something similar. So in some situations, it works. That being said, in my garden out here, I really don't have any hardly, except for the barrels. But when we went down to Tennessee, you know, a family of 8 really, with 6 kids and full-time, you know, operations and stuff, they don't got time to be weeding and all that kind of stuff. And it would take an absurd amount of organic matter to cover those 3 gardens. If you guys watch my video that I made about that, then you will know how big those plots are. It's probably at least an acre, probably more than that in total, of garden area. And there's no amount of organic matter. You can't just get some leaves or use grass clippings that is going to cover all of that sufficiently. So that's why, okay, in that situation, we had to use the woven fabric ground cover. And it just makes sense because that's the only way to do it. So yeah, there was a couple of questions that you guys have asked, and one of my friends here, I want to get to her question because she is a longtime supporter of the channel, and I always enjoy interacting with her. And so let me find it real quick, and this is from Mish the Fish, of course. She says, hoping you can answer a few questions this Saturday and I can listen to your response later. It says, here in Zone 8A, the spring garden is in full swing, but the universe always provides some surprises. I uncovered the 4x8 beds and had overwintered layered with leaves, manure, covered with landscaping fabric, and treated 5 times with JMS and straight labs. Very good. I waited 2 weeks after my last frost date to plant, but it's been unseasonably cool, wet, and in the new garden has gotten hailed on 3 times in 2 weeks. For the most part, the small plants dodged the ice balls successfully, but the garlic got a little beaten up. Let's see here. By the way, I asked a live question a few weeks back about onion starts, and you were correct. I got my timing wrong. I've got it straight now, and on the positive side, it was a good practice getting the seed starting system properly dialed in. So, okay. Oh, whoops, I wasn't reading the questions. I was reading. Okay, 1. Using your application method of a submersible pump in a 45-gallon trash bin, could you suggest combinations with dilution rates and schedule for using the above fertilizers to optimize plant health and harvest through this growing season? Also, how does this combination change as the plants go from vegetative growth, flowering, and then fruiting? So she's asking what would be the dilution rates for the application with the submersible pump and the in the trash can or whatever container it is that you're using. So I did make a video earlier this year about your natural fertilizer regimen. And so please watch that video because I'm pretty sure I do give dilution rates. No, I know I do. I give dilution rates and timing for all of that. So you must have missed that video. But but I'll say specifically for you. So in a 45-gallon trash bin, okay, then I would add probably 1 gallon of the JLF, of the grass JLF. You could add 1 gallon of a manure JLF, and then a cup or 2 cups of the fish fertilizer, and then a couple cups of the ash fertilizer, or in place of the fish fertilizer could be the urine fertilizer as well. So if you're using a 45-gallon trash bin, you don't want to use more than about 2 gallons of about 2 gallons of various JayDom mixtures. And you want to do that about once every 2 weeks, give or take. If the soil's poor or if you notice poor growth, once every week is good. But once every 2 weeks, twice a month, that's going to be adequate, all that you need. And so, yes, that should do that. But definitely watch that video again, Mish. Okay, her second and last question. 2, I think the garlic is nearing harvest. Some of the lower leaves are starting to brown. I've read to cut off water the last month before harvest. Do you agree? How to know optimal time to harvest. Would also love a quick review of proper garlic curing, drying time, and any storage ideas, especially for those of us who don't have cold basement or root cellar. Okay, she says, many thanks for your generous heart and amazing garden wisdom. All the best. Thank you, my friend. So, garlic. Garlic typically, I don't know if it would actually be that much sooner to harvest where you're at. I know you're in Texas, but I don't know, because around here, it's going to be about July, the first couple weeks of July. Last week of June, first week of July, give or take, is going to be when the garlic wants to be harvested. So it might be already by where you're at, but you also might just have some nutrient deficiencies. So, and that's probably most likely. Because guys, remember this, garlic is one of the hungriest crops in the entire garden. You really can't overdo it with garlic. So if you watch my one of my videos I made in the fall about using fertilizers, my garlic bed, I just place the garlic, I rake the bed clean, I place the garlic, and then I put over that about 2 inches of horse manure, and then over that about another inch of chicken manure. And then I put some straw. And so that is how hungry garlic is. And I'm just about to hit it for the first time with a good tea that I'm about to make, or that I'm brewing right now. And so when you see the yellowing leaves on the garlic, it is a clear sign that it's hungry, okay? And so you will want to, garlic actually wants nitrogen. And so when you notice the leaf tips are starting to turn yellow, especially the older leaf tips, then that's when it's hungry. And so go ahead and give it something like we just talked about. You can even make it a little bit stronger. You could even use 3 gallons to the 45-gallon container, something like that. Or foliar. You can also foliar garlic with, in a 1-gallon spray container, add 2 ounces of fish fertilizer, or 1 ounce fish fertilizer, 1 ounce urine, of the aged urine, and then you can spray that onto the leaves of the plants. Yes, and that will work good. Also, maybe you could add a cup of one of the JLFs, You know, it's not like chemical fertilizers where if you mix it wrong, you're going to kill everything, you know, or if you spray it on, it's going to kill everything. They're not like that. So we got good leeway. You know, just always err on the side of too dilute of the solutions. But yes, you can fertilize it like that, foliar it. You can foliar it like twice a week if you need to. I mean, you can foliar plants every night. If there's like a serious deficiency, guys, and you're noticing, then yeah, you can foliar them, you know, every night for a few nights for like a week until it recovers, and then you don't need to. But classic nitrogen deficiency, especially in garlic, is when the lower leaves will start to turn uniformly yellow. And and on all plants mostly, because plants will, when they become hungry for nitrogen, which is one of their most important nutrient, they will because nitrogen is mobile, meaning it can move around within the plant. So it will pull nitrogen from the older leaves at the base of the plant and give it to the growing tip, because that's what, you know, it wants to focus on the growing tip where all the growth hormones focused. And so for that reason, you will see older leaves turning uniformly yellow, okay? Not like patches of yellow. And then you say, okay, it needs some nitrogen. So with the garlic, go ahead and fertilize it, but cutting off water the last month, no. Cutting off nutrients the last month, yes. The last 3 weeks, yes. Because if you're giving it too much, so if you're giving it too much stuff about 3 weeks before harvest, then it's going to still make it think it's in like it's mid-season. And so the garlic won't store quite as long. So back off of nutrients 1 month before harvest. And so you might be there already. I don't know your exact climate, but I don't think so. It might go a little bit longer. And so, yes, cut off nutrients 1 month, and then you know it's time to harvest when 2/3 or when a third of the plant, really to half of the plant, has turned yellow. Has turned yellow and has started to die. And you will notice the bottom half of it has started to turn yellow. And when most of them are like that, then you know, okay, it's time. And so you just pull it up and shake the dirt off of it and tip it upside down and hang it like that in a place that gets good airflow and is out of direct sunlight. That's important. And so you let it dry for about 2 weeks, and then you can cut the roots off, and you can cut off leave about 2 inches of the stem. Cut that off, and then you can put it into a breathable thing like a burlap sack or a wicker basket or a cardboard box, and then place it in a place that is cool and not humid. So it doesn't have to be a basement because you don't have a basement. Just place it even in a pantry. Garlic's one of the things that stores really well, really easily. So there you go. I mean, that's a crash course in all of that, my friend. Okay, so let's see. Charles says, a grower, Nate? I see myself as a caretaker, thus in turn provide what all need to grow. Thus the food one needs and feeds the heart and mind. Yes, that's a very good way to look at it, my friend. Absolutely. A grower is a caretaker. Yes, the grower is, in Northern California, you know, there was like a bit of a structure. There was like the landowner, and then there was like all the workers, and then there was like the grower. And the grower, the responsibility of all of the growing of the plant all fell on the shoulders of the grower. And so it was the grower that had to know exactly, it all had to be in the mind of, okay, when everything needs started, where everything is at in its light cycle, what plants are getting started in the greenhouse, which ones are getting moved from the indoor into the outdoor, and when. And you have to keep all of that. It's the grower that knows the nutrient cycle and all of that, the caretaking, and it's the grower that therefore spends hours, I mean the good ones, like I was, spends hours walking in the greenhouses looking at all of the plants and knows almost, this sounds absurd, but in a way it's true, knows each plant individual, thousands of plants individually. And it's that kind of, that's the grower mentality and spirit. And yeah, so a grower is a caretaker, absolutely. Rachel, good to see you here. Successful Garden Design says, no beard looks good because you can see your facial expressions. The beard hides so much expressiveness. That's the way I feel too. Yes, it does. So, because when you're like this, you don't even, you know, anyway, there's little nuances, little intricacies. Let's see. So, my potatoes were chitting for over a month, no mold. Okay, yes. A month is a long time. You can get them in the ground, my friend, no problem. Let's see here. Paul says K and F for the win. K and F's a good method as well. Although, of course, we have to be very careful that we don't get stuck, boxed into just one technique, because so many techniques work. The only technique that we need to stick with is the way of nature, because that's the only way. And so, K and F works. Yes, there's all kinds of good things that work in there. Is it the only way? Absolutely not. JayDom works. Absolutely. Very good. Very simple. And it works. Is it the only way? Absolutely not. Making aerated compost teas work really good. But is it the only way? Absolutely not. Can anaerobic brews be used? Yes, if you do them right, like on this channel. And so there's so many different things. But personally, I never wanted to limit myself and say, okay, K and F, and that's it. So I don't need to research or learn any other techniques or do anything else, or that's it. And so, because then you're limited in so many things. And there's so many situations that certain things don't. You have to be more flexible. You have to have more tools in your repertoire. So if you want to be like an expert at something, you have to have a wide diversity of tools. Yes? So let's see here. Brian says, we have been seeing commercials on GMO, how good they are for you. Not. I have learned that the whole is better. Natural is the only way to go. Commercials for GMO, how good it is for you. Yeah, that's a classic propaganda campaign right there, if I ever heard of one. Ivan says, hi from San Jose. Hello, my friend. What difference between WCA and WCP, and how to store FPJ and FFJ? So FPJ and FFJ, they can be stored just in the refrigerator after you make them, but you want to use them up relatively soon. All the stuff, I mean, they say it can last, but really only the vinegar solutions are the ones that are going to last a long time, in my experience, and stay vigorous. So FPJ and FFJ just stored in the fridge. And difference between WCA and WCP. The calcium is the eggshells, and the phosphorus and the potassium is the bones, and a slightly different process, which we're going to go over here on the channel, but we haven't got there yet. So here in another couple of weeks, I'm going to have that video on how to make the WCP. Let's see. Serious Business says the sun is close and local. That's right. The sun is definitely local, and the sun shines equally for everyone. It does not care. Gabe says sun, life force energy, prana, chi, ether. Yes, it is all the same, my friend. Let's see. Gato says fire requires O2. Right, yeah. The sun rains on earth and every other plant. Yes. Okay, that is absolutely true, my friend. Okay, I'm way behind in the chat. Let me get down here a little bit. So, just came into rest. Mad Max says, just came into rest. First time garden. Just finished setting up my area to grow potatoes like a Viking. Trash bags. Contractor bags, that's right. Let's use the term contractor bags, my friend. Trash bags is all right, but it sounds kind of trashy. So let us just say contractors. Hi, Nate. Do you ever go morel hunting? Yes, definitely. I'm about to go to my parents later today, this evening, and see about in the woods back there if there is going to be some fungi. So we're going to have a fun time being a fun guy. So I'll probably put little things on my Instagram story about it. So if you guys are into Instagram, check it out, you know, do that kind of thing. Let's see here. And let's say Julianne says, have you ever made a nitrogen solution out of comfrey? Now, yes, I have composted comfrey, and I've made the JLF comfreys out of comfrey before. Yes, I use comfrey, but I don't. To me, the comfrey is not like the end all. Like it's a really, you know, so many channels are, oh, comfrey has all this, but I don't see it any better than like nettles and dandelion and all different kinds of stuff, crop residue. It's part of a balanced diet, sure. But just remember, the soil and the plants and our body and our health, it's all the same thing. And so just like we cannot eat only one source of food because we need a wide diversity of materials into the body, the plants and the soil can be seen in the similar way. They don't just want, if you just make comfrey tea, that is not going to do it, in my opinion. But a lot of people claim that it can, but I don't. Nature doesn't work that way. And so I like to do as wide diversity as possible. That's why we use all different kinds of stuff, and because that's what I do with my body as well. And that's what I do with my mind as well, because the body wants to consume nutrient sources from all different kinds of stuff. So guys, try to get at least 30 different plants into your body each week. Just make that a goal. As many different plant sources as possible. Also, personally, I thrive with the meat as well. Definitely. Red meat, raw beef liver, grass-fed, grass-finished, all of that good stuff. Raw bone marrow, heart. I really lightly saute heart. I really like all of that, so long as it's sourced from the good, grass-fed, pasture-raised stuff. Not any of the industrial stuff pumped full of chemicals and all that. That is not where it's at. And so, but if that is all you can afford, then okay, that can still be okay. But yes, so for me, having all those different plants and the berries and spices, I use so many different good spices, real spices, not like Lowry's seasoning or Old Bay seasoning. That doesn't count at all. I'm talking real spices like cardamom, cloves, nutmeg, and curry and fenugreek and all the cumin, the good stuff, real one ingredient spices. And all of those kind of things. So as big of diversity as possible into the body leads for abounding health. Also for the mind, as big diversity of viewpoints and as big diversity of knowledge sources, all of that creates a really robust mental state. And it's the same with the plants, see? So the many different nutrient sources, all natural ones, of course, it makes for stronger, healthier, more robust plants. So Tree Rogi says, daily shaving is bad for you and skin. I agree completely. Yeah. Man, when I was shaving, it was like, oh my goodness. It just felt like, what am I doing to myself? Why would I do that? But I wanted to do it once. But that being said, I wanted to show you guys this. Man, I really like this. Dr. Bronner's. It was the only one I could find that, because I go to like the stores and you just see all these things with the shaving things for men. There's like an explosion of facial care stuff for men, but it all is just saturated with chemicals. And so I had to search, but of course Dr. Bronner's, the organic shaving soap, and this stuff is awesome. I used to use it back in the day, but I didn't know how to use it properly. You have to use this stuff. This is old school shaving soap, where you have to like lather it up with the bristle brush and put it all on there. So that's how I did it, and then shaved with the safety razor that I've had for a long time. And it, man, was really good. So I love this thing. It's just basically Dr. Bronner's, but the only ingredient is organic sugar. And that really hydrates the skin. It's pretty awesome. So I would highly recommend that for you guys if you're looking for an all-natural thing like that. And Rose Halpin, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate the contribution. RJ Aquaponics says, comfrey mines minerals. Yes, it does. But so do dandelions, and so does alfalfa, and so does nettles, and so does thistles, and so does many, many other things. So I'm just saying, don't get stuck on one plant. But comfrey's great. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Elena Saucier says, Mother Earth puts her love into the plants, and there are plant fairies to love the plants. Much love. That's a very beautiful thought, my friend. Let's see. Chad says, I set one contractor bag out. Good job. Just to see what happens, and potato is really popping now. Yeah, it's actually really good. So if you live in a place that it takes a long time to heat up, then using the contractor bags can be a really good thing, because it helps to warm the soil sooner than would otherwise happen. But that being said, in hot places, it can get a little bit hot. The bag can sort of bake in the sun. So if you are going to experience hot temperatures, you can still use these bags, but you want to plant alongside of them. So remember that, okay? Let's see. It's you want to plant something alongside of the bags. And so you can plant Swiss chard or plant collard greens, because collard greens thrive in the blazing sun. And so if you have a row of potato bags and you're going to be getting direct sun on them, pretty much just in general, then you want to plant something along the side. So plant collard greens if you're in a hot area. And you could also plant calendulas. You could also plant Swiss chard. You could also plant, well, those would be the good ones. Marigolds you could do, low-growing marigolds you could do. But marigolds would be a really good one. But the best for food would be the Swiss chard, okay? Val Thatcher says, if you ever write a book, I'm getting it. All right, my friend, because it's definitely happening. It just, man, I was writing a book. I'm 90,000 words into a book about the whole 10 years of just the 10 years of traveling and all the crazy far out stuff that happened to me, and then the total life-altering transformation that happened towards the end of it all. And I'm 90,000 words into the first draft of that. But about a year ago, I just got a strong urge, I was compelled to start a YouTube channel about gardening. And so as soon as I started doing that, the whole, I could no longer write another word in the book. I would sit down to write and be I couldn't do it. I was compelled to focus all my energy on the new channel I had started. And so here we are, about 1 year and 2 months later, here we are. So that's how I live my life, So the feeling, what I feel, because I've learned over the years how to listen to myself and to trust myself, to trust the gut, to trust the heart, not the mind. The heart knows. The heart is connected to all things, connected to the ether. The mind tries to understand and dissect and all of that and figure out, but the heart, it always just knows. And so I've gotten really good at listening to the heart. And so I said, okay, well, I'm not going to force it. I'm just going to do this YouTube thing instead. And it has worked out pretty well. So, yes, my friends. There was yes, Ms. P, $5. Thank you for the contribution, my friend. She says, cleaning out the garden shed right now and threw out all the old chemicals and synthetics, no longer needed nor wanted. Feeling free. Sending love and thanks. Yes, it's a wonderful feeling, isn't it? Because you know that the earth, you've got the spirit of the earth flowing more through you, because the earth does not want this toxic stuff that has been created by the mind of man. Because it is only the mind of man that thinks that he can take the natural world and rearrange the elements and create something that is better than what the creator has already created. You understand what I'm saying? There's no way that you could possibly ever improve on what has already been perfected. You can't improve on perfection, and nature is perfection. And so it is only the ego-centered hubris and presumptuous just of the human mind that thinks that we can rearrange the elements and create a better or something that's even equal to nature. We can't, nor can we ever. And so we have to just go back to the ways of what has already been perfected. That's the whole thing. Justin Ingalls, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate the tip. RJ says, glad you did a YouTube channel. Yes, me too, my friend. Marcus says, 100% listen to the heart. That's right. That's right. And at first, it can feel uncomfortable. So we have to practice that. We have to practice that in little things and see, oh, okay. Because most of us go our whole life living from the mind. And so we have to think it all out first, and we have to dissect all the different possibilities and all of this. And for some things that works, but for most things, it's just the heart, because it already knows, because it's all here now. Let's see here. RJ says, watering at dusk can promote mold. That depends on where you live. Here, during the summertime, no. It needs the moisture. So, because if you live in an arid environment, I always like to water towards the evening, because then it stays all night. When I was in Northern California, I watered towards the night. And because if I watered and when the greenhouses were 120 degrees during the blazing hot sun of the day, then everything just they'd be dry and all wilted already by the end of the day. But if you water them in the evening in a really hot environment like that, arid environment, then it gives it all evening to soak in. Let's see here. And Damari Hoover says, did you make a video on food storage? I made a video on the how to store food for 20 years in the Mylar bags, definitely. And so check that out. Also, I would like to give a thank you to John Berghoff, my friend, and because he gave a donation for that exact reason, and I just saw that. So thank you, my friend, because we had a conversation about storing food in the Mylar bags. And that really is the way to go. If you want food security, my friends, check out my video I made, how to store food for 20 years. And all the links in the description. Get the Mylar bags, get the oxygen absorbers, and get the 5-gallon buckets with the tight-fitting lid. And you can store things like rice and beans and lentils and oats and, well, so many of the dried things you store in these bags. And I show you the whole process. You put the oxygen absorber in there and sucks all the oxygen out of there, and then and the whole thing's in a Mylar bag in a 5-gallon bucket. And so that's gonna last, when you pound the lid on, that's gonna last 20 years, guys, long time. So, and then that's not rotating stockpile. That you just put away in the basement, and there you go. You've got, 50 pounds or 100 pounds or 200 pounds of rice, beans, and lentils, just for a rainy day, for whatever, if you ever need it. You can survive a long time on that. And so, yeah. And Val Thatcher, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, thanks for being compelled to share your knowledge. Yes, compelled. That is definitely the way to put it. And Just Me, who are you? $20. Thank you very much, my friend. Good to see you here. Say hello to the family for me. Hope everybody is doing well, which I'm sure they are, because the family is amazing. And so, yeah, I think about you guys a lot, and I think about the garden all the time. So, yeah, send me pictures, brother. Tahitian melon is coming up good. Oh, yeah, okay. Got the Tahitian melon squashes coming up good. So, yeah, you're going to want to thin those, remember. But show me some pictures. But okay, so once they're about like this tall, and you have a bunch, about 5 of them, then you want to thin out to the strongest one, all right? You can even, I thin in stages, So if there's like 5 or 6 of them, thin to the strongest 2. And then once those get like clearly, established, then thin out to the strongest 1 in each hole. So that's how you do. Like if you guys watch my video on the summer squash and melons bed, plant a bunch of them and then thin them out eventually to the strongest 1 in each hole, so that each of the boxes or each of the mounds has about 3 vines coming off of them. Because if you have too many of them, then it's going to produce a bunch of really small stuff, small vines with small produce. And you want the Tahitian melon squash, man, they can get a vine on it this thick and 30 feet long. I mean, they can be Jurassic. So, Hans Ketchup, $2. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate you. Mama T says, agree with following the heart and spirit. Absolutely. MK's Logic says, love from Lebanon. Hello. Is that Lebanon, Indiana, or is that Lebanon? So, hello. Mom Computer, good to see you here, my friend. Says, late watching, but if my vote counts, I'd like to see the mustache back. You can skip the beard. Don't need it for the summer heat. I'll post in the comments too. Yeah, man, I almost did. I had a big old thick mustache going and stuff, but was like, you know what? I just got to take this opportunity to see if I'm still under there. And so, yeah. But yeah, I think I'll do a mustache next. I kind of like all that. It's fun for a guy that you can change up the facial hair. And, okay, so MK's Logic says, wow, I'm in Lebanon in the Middle East, and the weather is PMSing. Whoa. I don't know if we can say that. But I get what you mean. It's not being cooperative, being really temperamental and erratic. I understand. So, yes. So you are in the Middle East then. Okay. So welcome, my friend. Busy Girl says, at Garden Like a Viking. Nate, you're doing a great job on your channel. Teaching what you've learned comes so natural to you because you love what you're doing. Thanks for sharing. Your channel is growing. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate that. And yes, that is absolutely what it is that I love this whole thing, and that it's the passion. Because it's not really, there's no like effort that I am making, if that makes sense. It's just coming. It's just the energy that is flowing from the ether is just flowing. And it's so beautiful. It's effortless. And so, yes, let's see. Somebody did a... Alfred Phillips, $20. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, thanks for the information and the buckets of urine my husband now has stored. LOL. Yeah, well, That's part of it. That's part of it. So thank you very much for the support, my friend. Oh, Alfreda. Okay, so a female. I see now. Rose Halpin says, how do I find Jenny? Yes, Jenny has a YouTube channel as well. The Viking Heart is what she has changed it to now. And so, yes, check her out. And she does all kinds of stuff on there. So, greetings from Georgia. You mean Georgia in the U.S. or Georgia in the former Soviet Union? So, Salma Aki says, new to your channel. Hello from Canadian Forces Base, Petawawa. Sandy soil has zero life in it on base, but we're trying to restore it. Yes, so you will want to make the biochar. You will want to get the organic matter, the manures and things like that into the soil. And then you will want to, after the biochar, activated biochar, and the manure is into the soil, then you will want to cover that with a thick layer of mulch of some kind, preferably deciduous leaves or grass clippings. All of that works really well. And so that is what you will want to do. Yes. Let's see. RJ says, don't make drug addicts out of our plants. That's right, guys. The more synthetic fertilizers you use, the more you have to utilize them. So, okay, a few more things, guys, before we go. And let's see here. The tomato plants are doing really, really well. We're getting these nice and hardened off. And this one is a Berkeley tie-dye. And so I'm trying this out this year because supposedly this is what the catalog said of Baker Creek. They said in a blind taste test, 10 out of 10 people preferred the taste of the Berkeley tomato over the Cherokee Purple, which to me sounds blasphemous. So there's absolutely no way that can be true because the Cherokee Purple is the best of all time in my opinion and experience. So, but the Berkeley tie-dye supposedly 10 out of 10 in a blind taste test, that sounds rigged. There's just no way. But so here we are. So yeah, and what I wanted to show you about this was that this is the first year, I'm experimenting around with a bunch of stuff, always, constantly. And I typically always just use shop lights to start my plants. As any of you know from the channel, I use shop lights to start the plants because that's all that you need. And it works really good. And it's really good for vegetative leafy growth. And so, but this year I experimented with some of the Mars Hydroponics grow lights that are designed for flowering, flowering indoor plants, and there's not too many plants you flower indoors. But that's what they were designed for. So I was like, sure, yeah, I'll try them. They wanted to send me some. And so I tried them, but here's what's happening. For the first time ever, my tomatoes are going to flower when they're inside. And so see here, they're just starting to, they grew everything real nice, but they are starting to form the flower right here. And we do not want them to flower when they are this tiny because we still got to plant them out. We want them to root and all kinds of stuff. And so the peppers are doing the same thing. Look, it grows them real nice, but if you look closely, you can see that it's starting to form the little white flowers in there. And I am absolutely positive that that is from those Mars Hydro LED grow lights because they are designed for flowering. And so it's going to trick the plant. And I should have thought of that. I should have thought about this, but I just didn't have experience using those type of lights on this type of thing. But now I do. And I should have thought of that, but it's because it tricks the plant into thinking that it's the middle of summer because there's a lot more of the UVB type spectrum. There's a different light spectrum in those type of lights. So I will just be going back to the shop lights. I'm not going to be using the hydroponic grow lights for this because it is making all the stuff flower and we don't want them to flower. So I'm going to pick all of those off and plant them out and hopefully they can revert back. So I got them all outside now. They're all hardening off. But I just wanted to show you guys that. So if you are using grow lights and your stuff is flowering prematurely, then that's probably why. And I'm realizing all of that. And see, that's why it's so important to experiment. If I was just like, nope, I already know that shop lights worked. So it works, I stick with what works. Or if my great grandfather showed me to just use shop lights and that's all I ever used and I never experimented around, I wouldn't understand any of that stuff. You have to. So that's for me, it's good to experiment. But I know a lot of you guys don't want to experiment. That's why I'm doing it. Mick Hegarty, $20. Thank you very much for the tip, my friend. How is those winter sown jugs going? They got to be about ready. How is the weather where you are? Pam, good to see you here. Says, yes, it is your passion that makes it really worth watching and listening to, Nate. Thank you so much. You are very welcome, my friend from South Africa. Mick says, missed a couple. Glad to be back. Yes, I didn't see you for a couple. Hans Ketchup, blasphemy. Yes, it is. It really is. Jenny says, are you doing the double solo cups method? I never do that method because to me, there's no real point. You might as well just have one solo cup and not put drainage holes in it. So for me, I just do the one solo cup with the drainage holes. Would you consider blue LED UV lights beneficial for starting plants? Blue LED lights, yes, yeah. If it's in the 6500K, well, it depends though. I mean, these ones downstairs are like 6500, and they are really, there's something about them really inducing the flowering in these plants. And so I can't say the jury is totally out because I mean, historically all the grow lights I've used were for flowering, of course, but now we're using them for different things. So hold on, I want to show you guys the ginger real quick. So guys, the ginger has gotten totally, absolutely out of control. And now that the system's dialed in, we don't even need to start it so early. So it's gotten really tall and it's going outside. So the last frost is passed. Now we can put the ginger outside. Ginger is like garlic. It is very, very hungry. So we are going to put it into some very rich soil. And this is going to start growing. Remember guys, ginger does not start rhizome production, meaning it doesn't start to make more ginger rhizomes until 4 months into its growth. That's why we start it so early, because it's not even going to start new rhizome production yet. So that's why you got to start it early. But let's see here. Just me, who are you? Are you sharing your experience? And that's awesome. Potts is all way ahead. Potts is all way ahead. Okay, good. Yes. Let's see here. And hey, Nate, any suggestions for getting the best use of kelp? Any weird tricks like in compost teas or something? Oh, absolutely. Use it in the, well, okay, there's a couple ways. So if you have access to kelp, ferment some in the barrels in the JayDom, JLF method, but also dehydrate some and pulverize it into like a kelp powder so that you can add that once we start doing the aerated compost teas, which I'm already doing, but I'm making videos about it and stuff, and I'm working with you guys on it. Then you can add some of that because that is really good food for the microbes. And so yes, definitely ferment some, but definitely dehydrate some and pulverize it into the powder form and keep it that way, because then we will use tablespoons of that. So. Let's see here. Oh, Miss Valmark says, Nate, it is true. The flavor of Berkeley tie-dye is amazing. Can't wait to taste one with my new fertilizers. 3rd year growing this tomato. Okay, good. Now, but at the same time, you haven't tasted one of these Cherokee purples from this soil. It's just mind-blowing. I mean, it's the kind that you bite into it and it just makes your knees buckle and you just you have to sit down. You have to sit down and catch your breath. That's how good it is. So, but that's good. But still, there's no way that 10 out of 10 people in a blind taste test, that means that they said, okay, here's 2 tomatoes. Tell us which one is best. And they had no idea. And 10 out of 10 people said that one was better. That's just find that hard to believe. That could be true if it was a greenhouse grown Cherokee purple or a hydroponically grown Cherokee purple. Definitely 10 out of 10 would be able to tell. But okay. Jenny says, wow, your ginger looks fantastic. I re-soaked mine after watching your videos on soaking it to remove the growth hormone. Replanted in soil and tuck on a heat mat. Now it's growing right. All right, my friend, sounds good. Even though I don't think that was me talking about soaking it. So that must have been a different Garden Like a Viking. Must have been the one with the beard that you were watching. So yeah, because I buy the organic stuff and it doesn't have the sprout inhibitor. Oh, well, I did say, yeah, that you could soak it if you have to get it non-organic. Yes. Garth says, only 31 likes? Yes. What is the deal with that? Guys, hit the like button for me if you would. Do that on all the videos if you would. So, okay, is there any burning questions? Alexander, he says, is it normal for JMS to smell bad? No, it shouldn't really smell bad. It should smell not rancid whatsoever. It should smell a little bit like bread, like potato bread, you know, it should smell like that. A little bit yeasty, but not all that. If it smells rancid, then, well, is there bubbles? Is the bubbling action happen? Because it's all about the bubbles. That's why you have to be able to tell. So regardless of what it smells like, if the bubbles are all happening, it's good. But if the bubbles have gone away and stuff, and it's smelling rancid, then it's bad. It really should never smell rancid. So, Bamboo Lou says, I'm not sure if turmeric or ginger takes full sun. No, they actually don't like full sun. So you can plant them in somewhat shade. You know, I plant them in a place that gets moderate shade, so half day, give or take. So yeah, ginger and turmeric are one of the few that you can plant really in shade. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, definitely, Jenny. Yeah, definitely. It's the heat mat. Definitely, the heat mat is what it's all about with ginger. They need that heat. Gloria, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. Says thanks for sharing your knowledge. Yes, you are welcome. Val says, can I use my failed microbial solution in the garden? Yes, you can dump it into the garden where there's no plants. Just dump it into the garden where there's no plants. Definitely. PA says, is water green with algae okay for watering plants? Yes, it'll be fine. Not a problem. Unless it's like going to bog up your watering pump or something. But yeah, it'll be fine. And Patricia says, how long to harden off plants? You want to, that all depends on what your growing conditions was like. But 5 days, give or take, is all that is needed. I made a video on it last year. Didn't get much exposure, but I did make a video about this time last year on how to harden off your plants. So, okay guys, well, we are coming to a close here. It's been 101 minutes. Oh, I just wanted to say real quick, if you guys, because I got a bunch of comments about I was wearing these sandals in one of the videos, and you guys asked me, you know, wow, where can I get some of these? Guys, these are the greatest shoes, the greatest sandals I've ever found. And I have searched far and wide. I'm huge on footwear. Anyone that knows me knows. I've been searching for years, and I finally found the best of the best in boots and also in sandals. And these ones are it by far. They're feather light, and they mold to your foot. Here is a pair that I had for like 10 years. They took me all around India, Nepal, Thailand, Vietnam. I've walked thousands of miles in these. And you see how they mold to your footbed like that? And they become like an orthopedic, it just molds to exactly how your foot is designed. And man, I can't give highly enough. And these can be resold someday. But I wanted to make sure that there was never a time in my life when I didn't have them. So I bought like 3 more pairs. And these are the new ones. I'm going to start wearing these. But see, I'm just starting to break in the footbed. And they are light year. I mean, the most comfortable shoe ever. They feel like you're wearing nothing. And so where do you get them? Yeah, you can't just go on Amazon to get them. And that's why I'm telling you. And no, I'm not affiliated with this. And this lady doesn't even know I'm doing this. And in fact, she might not even want more business. See, there's red ones as well. I got a red pair. She might not even want more business, but if you guys are into it and you want them, then you have to. She's a little lady from Oregon, and I found her in Arcata many years ago on the square in Arcata. But she hand makes these. These are handmade by this lady, and she makes them and she will send them to you. And but you have to. She's old school, so you have to actually contact her. You have to go to the website coolmox.com. Here's her information if anybody wants that. Coolmox.com, and that is her phone number. And her name's Penny Lou, and she's old school. You have to actually send Penny Lou in the mail a money order for the sandals. And then once she receives the money order, then she'll send them to you and stuff. But it's all good. She's super cool, super nice. And if you want them, you better get on it because she's been making them for many, many years. And so, you know, we want to make sure we get them. So I just wanted to say that. So tell Penny Lou Nate from Indiana sent you. Maybe she'll get a kick out of that. And guys, check out the Garden Like a Viking Instagram account. And big thank you to everyone that is donating to the channel. That helps me to keep it free from like Patreon and all the other kind of membership stuff and all that. Helps me just give all the knowledge to everybody equally. So thank you very much. Thank you for using the link in the description to make a donation to the PayPal account. I appreciate it. Also, I'm going to be having Venmo and Cash App coming, but not yet. And let's see, I think that is pretty much everything, my friends. And every Monday at 12 noon Eastern time, we do a live Q&A on my other channel, Nate Muri, where we talk about other things, spiritual things, cleansing, health. We can talk about anything on that channel. And so check that out every Saturday at 12 noon. We have this live Q&A right here. And I think that's it, my friends. I will see you next time. I think so. Okay. Okay, goodbye, my friends.